Hello, everybody. I will be sharing with you a project that I worked on. And what it is it's a Schoology module that I will be sharing with the learners, who in this case are also teachers, who are in turn going to be able to use this with their students later. And basically, it's called Schoology Best Practices Learner Interactions. And what it is, it's a module that helps learners, in this case teachers, see what the different types of learner interactions are and be able to embed that within their Schoology modules. So basically, the steps that I went through was to first analyze what a real need is at my campus. And what we discovered was that there is a deficiency in the use of online learning in terms of interactivity with the students. And so basically, the stage that we are at is we have a lot of teachers that are using to different degrees their online or their e-learning with their students in such a way that is basically just transferring what was happening before in the classroom in the sense of basically remote teaching, but we haven't gotten to where we've really maximized the affordances of technology in terms of utilizing Schoology, which is our LMS, to best meet the needs of our students. And so that was a real need at our campus. And the first thing I did was to conduct a learner analysis. And basically, what I wanted to know is three different things about the learners: their readiness, their interest level, their interests, and their profile. And what one thing that I discovered was that the learners at my campus, there's different degrees of tech proficiency. And so as such, we needed to create some sort of differentiated module that they could do asynchronously that could help them fill in the gaps where they may be. There's different interests in that the teachers at my campus, the learners, they themselves teach different classes. We have three different tracks: ESL, English GED, and Spanish GED. And within that, we have the four subject areas of math, science, language arts, and social studies. And then as far as learner profile, we do have differing experience levels for the teachers. And there's actually sometimes there's going to be a language barrier in that. With the Spanish track, some of the teachers speak Spanish. And so ultimately, this entire module will be bilingual, both in English and Spanish. Contextually, Schoology is the LMS at my campus. And so the actual module itself is in Schoology. And what will be happening is we're transitioning to hybrid by the fall. And so right now we're completely online. And this particular module we are going to submit for IACET accreditation, which is something that my campus is trying to get approved so that we can offer continuing education credits. And so it's very important that we have certain guidelines that are met when we submit our different classes. And this module, my goal is to have it as one of the courses that we submit for accreditation. Desired outcomes, basically the objective is going to be, while creating Schoology modules, teachers in the Next Step Public Charter School evening program should be able to include the three forms of learner interactions. And you'll see what those are as I go through the remaining part of when I start to show you some of the screenshots of the presentation. Is with TPAC, the generative strategies, self-explanation, learning by teaching, two of the technologies that I chose, both Mote and Screencastify. My goal is to have them kind of meet those generative strategies for the learners to be able to actually produce these products to kind of take them through the generative phase. And so with Mote, they're going to talk through the process and have that recorded. And then they're also going to create their own Screencastify. Again, when we get into the individual parts of the module, I will show more of that. As far as UDL, engagement, self-regulation, the grading system that is used is going to be points-based. And I'm hoping for that to kind of help the learners get feedback, as well as serve as kind of like self-regulation, where they're able to monitor their progress. As far as representation, background knowledge and transfer of knowledge are both going to be key to this. There will be a section where there are some articles that the teachers will read that will kind of help provide some of the fundamental knowledge if needed, as well as the introductory reflection activity, where there will be some different steps that they'll go through on a pair deck that will kind of walk them through that and kind of activate to see where they are, because there are different degrees of proficiency. And then, of course, a transfer of knowledge at the end of every part of within the module of the 3 interactions. There will be an opportunity for all of the learners to go back and actually create the same product with their class, and that will be assessed. Action and expression, multiple media for communication. There's a Jamboard activity, as well as some of the different modalities that are embedded that I'm hoping will at least differentiate that as much as possible. And then as far as the killer's arc, the active participation piece, I hope will meet the attention aspect. As far as relevance, there are real life activities. Again, teachers will make actual components that they'll use in their classroom. And then through the feedback that I'm giving and through the point-based grading system, I hope that will build confidence for teachers. Here you see a screenshot of the landing page within Schoology, the different elements that are there. There's an overview page which goes over basic instructions. There's the office hours Zoom link. That is my office hours, where teachers are able to come and ask questions, as well as I'm hoping to have an introductory synchronous session where we could go over the reflective Pear Deck activity. There's a Schoology online best practices introduction presentation. That's what will be seen during that synchronous meeting, but it will also be present here for anybody who needs to walk through that, who wasn't able to make that or would like to go back and check later. I provided the article about the research supporting the 3 types of interactions. There's a discussion question that I've embedded here that I'm hoping teachers, as one of the requirements to complete, they will have to actually respond to that, as well as to 2 of their peers. And then there are the 3 exercises and activity components: learner teacher, learner learner, and learner content. Finally, there is the summative assessment, the 3 types of learner interaction. That will be a test. That's also one of the requirements of IACET to have that. And then there's the end of course evaluation link. And I'm going to walk you through each of these and show you a screenshot that corresponds with each one of these sections. For the overview page, this kind of tells the instructions of what's going on, as well as explains the grading process. There's 4 points that can be earned on any one of the formative as well as the summative exercise or activity. It's basically 1 is you haven't started it yet, 2 is not completed, 3 is completed, and 4 is excelled. Anybody who's been able to go over and above. 3s are basically what's needed on each section in order to advance. But 4s, just to provide that opportunity for anybody who has done over and above to have excelled at that. I want it to be very clear, the different points that are given. I didn't want there to be any kind of gray area, and I just kind of wanted it as much as possible to just show teachers exactly how they're progressing, and just to kind of give them credit for that as they advance. And then the objectives there as well at the bottom. Here you see in the grade book the points that will be allotted for each of the formative as well as the summative section. So you see there that there are 6 formative grades, and there will be 1 summative grade. And so each one, they get a maximum of 4 points. 3 points is what's needed to advance on each one. They can be done in any order. They don't need to be done consecutively, but at the end of it, to receive credit for this course, they need to have completed with at least a 3 each of those areas. Here's a screenshot of the reflection activity Pear Deck that I will be doing synchronously. This will also be present within my website, the entire presentation, so it can be seen, but here's just kind of the first page. But what I would like to do as a kickoff PLC session is introduce the activity and provide this kind of reflections. It's a series of reflective questions that the learners can interact with in a Pear Deck that will also give me some instantaneous feedback about what they're doing and how they feel and where they are. Here's the article that'll be the 3 different types of interactions. It's the more cursory article that kind of goes over that will provide them the needed background information or research if necessary. Here's a discussion question that is there for them to answer. This may evolve, but for now I've kind of just put 1 in order to begin the conversation and kind of go through the iterations of how this will progress. But I wanted to at least get 1 started so that we can probably roll this out with my teachers at my campus this summer. Learner-teacher exercise. This will be with the use of a Jamboard. You see within that folder in Schoology, I've added the instructions. There's the exercise itself, the link to the Jamboard activity. Again, all of this will be on the website. And then the transfer of knowledge activity, which is what they will then take and go back and to make a screen cast using Screencastify of their own class and submit that in order to get credit for the transfer of knowledge activity. There's also a how-to for the Jamboard video as well. For the learner component, there's a Screencastify that I've embedded here of me walking them through the different areas of creating discussion questions. And then one thing that I will be checking is for them within their own Schoology modules is to have created those discussion groups themselves within their modules, and that will be their transfer of knowledge activity. And then learner content, this will be Mote. This will be where teachers will demonstrate by using Mote. There's instructions here how they're going to activate that. And then they're going to provide feedback on an article using Mote once they've installed that. And then that's the expectation going forward, that I'll provide all feedback on their activities using Mote as well. And so that's going to be how the learner content portion, they'll be able to create interaction with that. Instead of just providing written feedback, they'll be able to provide verbal feedback that can be recorded into the document. And so within the different instructions, they'll be able to provide that document that they create back with me. That'll be their transfer of knowledge activity. Summative assessment here, the sample questions. I would like for this to grow a little bit longer. 10 questions would be my goal. But here's a sample of, you see 3 questions that I've all created within Schoology using their Schoology AMP, which is their assessment software. And basically, there's different types of questions you can create. I've done multiple choice and true, false here, but essentially with this, I need to have this to satisfy the IACET requirement, as well as provide meaningful feedback to myself that they've mastered, at least, generally speaking, the objective, as stated earlier, about the 3 interactions. There's a course evaluation that I created in Google Forms that'll be shared. The links on the bottom of the module, that once all the learners complete that and put their email, it'll give me that feedback as well. And what I'm hoping to do is many iterations of this. This is just the first rollout, but using all this information at the end of summer, revamp it for the fall. And we're basically going to keep this module with our campus and ultimately just have it something that improves, as well as is always there to provide that differentiated instruction for any of our teachers that are using online learning, of which, will continue even when we go hybrid, but at least provide that differentiated form of instruction for them. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And any of the other supporting documents can be found on the website. Thank you.